Hello guys, let's try to understand about Docker. So what exactly is a Docker? Docker is kind of a tool which help us to create everything, a kind of an environment for an application to run. Okay, so inside the Docker containers, we can keep the code, we can keep the dependencies, we can keep the configurations and everything whatever is needed for an application to run, we can do using Docker. So how is this done? So the base thing what we have in the Docker is a Docker file. This is a Docker file, and in this Docker file we give the steps and we create an environment. If you see, we are saying the base everything is a Python, so it's a Python based application, and then we are installing the required libraries, and then we are giving a working directory inside the container. So all the details have been given using this Docker file. So this Docker file is used to build the image first. So Docker build the name of the image you want, and the dot means it checks for the current directory, and in this directory do we have any Docker file. Docker file will be just like dockerfile. That's it. That will be the Docker file. And once we have the Docker file, we know to build the image. And once we have the image, we using the image we build the container as well. How do we create a container? Using Docker build, the name of the image, the name of the container we'll give. And if you want to mount, we'll give the mounting path as well. I mean, the local path in your Mac should be mounted to the path inside the container. Like, let's assume our code is in our local path and you want to mount it to specific path inside the container. We can even mount it using -v. So this is how we build the container. So first the Docker file will be there, and then we'll have the image built with the Docker file, and then the container is built. So this container is kind of a bowl with all the nutritions. So using this container, we can run our application. And in case if you have multiple services, like if you are going to the front end application where you have a web as well as a database as well as a in-memory cache for Redis, for all these kind of scenarios, you might need a multiple container. So that's when the Docker Composer will come into the picture. It's just another YAML file, and inside this Docker Composer.yaml file, we'll have all the configurations needed for each and every container. So this is how the Docker world works. So the Docker is nothing but a tool which help us to run an application. And why we need Docker is like when you move from one environment to another environment, you can just take the image alone. So there will be a consistency across the environments. We don't need to bother about the configurations and the version which is installed. So while building an image, if we have used a specific version, as we are using the same image in the next environment, we are using the same version again. So there will be consistency across the environment, and our application behaves the same across the environments. So that's why the Docker is more powerful.